Today we are taking a look at my custom VSTs. These are virtual instruments that I've created through many methods and over the course of many years, but all of them have found their way into my music in one form or another. This topic was suggested by somebody live on Twitch, so this is actually from my Twitch sessions. And if you'd like to be part of a future YouTube video or just join in and say hi, the link for my Twitch is in the description. What's my favorite instrument that I've invented? Or turn into a virtual instrument. Yeah, oh, okay, I could talk about that, my favorite virtual instruments. So the ones that say FF, I don't know if you can see that or not, it's kind of small. Those were the Frostfell ones. So I don't even remember what I made these of, but this one's called an Ice Pad. So all these instruments were actually made of ice in some capacity. I can't remember what the original sound was, because it's been manipulated so much. There's that one. There's this is one of my favorite ones that I made. It's called the Ice Rattle Pad. This is it dry. Pretty cool. I think I looked up like the sound of like ice caverns and just took a sound and looped it in some capacity. And I think with this one, I did some sort of like a tremolo panning thing. So if you have headphones on, you can really hear it. And then this one I think I used quite a bit, the Winter Rain Pad. It was literally raining in winter. Took that, added some reverb. And this is the kind of sound. So you can do things like... And if you listen, if you really have headphones on, you'll probably hear this. See? It's like subterranean. Other instruments that I've made, this one was cool. So this is one of my favorites. The 4 months that I was in Vienna, I recorded bells anywhere that I went. So if I heard like church bells somewhere, I would get out like an audio recorder and just record them. And then what I did is I took all of the bells and I pitched them in ways that they actually made like a little scale, and then ran them together and sampled them like really intensely. And so that's what you can hear. It's very kind of tricky to hear, but this is what I created. So that's just one note. And you know, if I go up higher, it's obviously a higher pitch, so you can hear it. And then when it's really low, you can barely even tell that it's like bells. That's actually absolutely terrifying. I think that was gonna be so scary. This one, I think, was made from the Korg Prologue that I have, and I really liked that sound. I use this one a lot, actually. So. Kind of has like, if you know Broadchurch, kind of has that sort of like Olafur Arnalds vibe. Well to Hell was another old school one I made from the Korg Prologue. This one I use an absolute ton. It has this warble effect that it basically like it plays a note and then it kind of swells up and down. So. Just wait a second. There it is. So that's pretty scary. Glitch Pad was one I made from... my dad got mad at me when I did this, but I took a an audio recorder next to a light switch. Don't do this. Don't do this. Next to a light switch, and I half held the light switch on and off. So it was like crackling. This sound. It's kind of quiet. Don't do that. Don't do this. But the effect that I use that for is kind of like background stuff when I want it to sound a little bit glitchy. Proposal Pad is called that because it was from a film where I used a bunch of string instruments and basically like live string players. And then I took one chord that was at the very end of the piece and I sampled that so that I had some like a live performance sound. So let's see if it works. Yeah. And I found a major and a minor version of it, so I can flip between them. So sometimes I will layer things with that sound because it adds a little bit more realism and also just kind of like, I don't know, something kind of rustic about it. Tongue drum pad, that was one I made from a tongue drum, which is what you've heard in Frostfell before. Water pad, another one of my favorites. That was one I made from running water and using a contact mic against a sink. So you basically get just like the hum of the water, and then I filtered it out to try and find a specific note, and then just kind of like EQ tweaked it. So it should have the feeling of water without actually sounding like water. It should have a watery sound. It's hard to explain. I use this one a lot. I really like this. And it's obviously like, you know, effect. It's got like a tremolo pan and stuff like that and EQ. One of the trickier things to do with these like VSTs when you're making them is doing EQing stuff, because a lot of the stuff is just like, you know, natural sounds, and in a lot of cases it's tricky to cut out all the background noise because that stuff stacks up as you have a note. So as you add in the extra notes, they're doing like a chord. If there's a little bit of hiss in one of those samples, it compounds and it triples. So then you get like all the way through. So it's good to kind of know how to modify those a little bit. And that's why I modify all this stuff. Let's see, any other cool ones that I have I can talk about? Boiler Room Pad, another one of my favorites. They're all my favorite. Boiler Room Pad is basically literally a boiler room. And this is like extra. I listened to the ambience of the room and I tried to find a chord that was happening naturally inside of it. So like one thing, and I amplified the harmonics up the harmonic series of the room. So everything has a frequency essentially. And if you can find it and amplify it, you get a chord. I got the idea from Heyde. I'm not gonna be able to pronounce her last name right. Gotnesdetier. She did that for that sound, the Chernobyl soundtrack. So this is just one note, but it's a boiler room. Which I think sounds so ridiculously cool. It's like one of my favorite patches ever. It's like cheating at that point, right? So with VSTs, like the work happens sort of in making the VST, you know? Like, and then once you've got it forever, which is what I think the draw for me about making VSTs is that you've like created this thing and then you just have it forever, which I think is so cool. So that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed a specific VST, do let me know in the comments, and maybe eventually I'll be giving it out or selling it on my website. If you'd like to support me and help me make future content, you can also check out my Patreon, which is linked in the description. We have a bunch of bonus videos and a monthly Q&A for anybody who can join. Thanks again so much. See you in the next video.